I was the Mr. Good Temper everyone talked about, back in university. I successfully captured the campus beauty Willow's heart with my excellent cooking skills. However, her friends looked down on me a lot. They said I was not worthy of Willow, and kept persuading her to break up with me. Their evaluation of me was, a broke loser, a stingy guy. Other than cooking well, there's nothing special about him. Yet what I never expected was that, after Willow and I broke up, the people who made the biggest fuss were actually her two best friends. Sophia complained unhappily, breaking up is one thing. But what do you mean by making us cut ties with George? Maria immediately agreed. People can live without friends, but they can't live without food. George, don't worry, we've already found your next girlfriend. Now we can happily freeload meals again. Manhwa. I stood there completely dumbfounded. Chapter 01. I had been Willow's personal cook for 3 years. Every single day, I worked tirelessly from dawn till night making food for her, cooking in the morning, cooking at noon, cooking at night, cooking in the kitchen, in the bathroom, on the table. I truly thought the two of us would keep living this happily forever. But in the end, she still broke up with me. It all started after her crush returned from overseas. We had a huge fight because I refused to let her pick him up at the airport, and I absolutely wouldn't allow her to have dinner with Makoto. On the surface, she agreed obediently, but behind my back, she vented to her friends. I'm seriously so sick of him. Why is he so controlling? So just because he's my boyfriend now, he thinks he gets to control everything I do. Who does he think he is? Does dating mean I'm not allowed to socialize anymore? Am I supposed to cut off every male friend I have? She looked up at the friend sitting across from her, her tone filled with irritation. Tell me honestly, isn't he taking himself way too seriously? The moment she finished speaking, one of her friends immediately chimed in. Exactly, you're not his property. Who does he think he is, trying to gaslight our princess like this? Another friend quickly added. There are tons of rich, handsome guys chasing after you. What does George even count for? Other than being able to cook, how could he possibly compare to Makoto? He seriously doesn't know his place. Willow's eyes flickered. She nodded in clear agreement. You're right. If it weren't for the fact that he treats me pretty well, I honestly would have broken up with him already. Her friend instinctively replied. Yeah, you definitely should, Brea. But halfway through the sentence, she suddenly stopped, pressing her lips together awkwardly. She showed a conflicted expression. Actually, maybe breaking up isn't necessary. If you dump him, where are we supposed to freeload meals from in the future? Willow's face instantly darkened. Annoyed, she snapped. You little glutton, all you ever think about is food. She honestly couldn't understand what kind of spell had been cast on her two friends. Every time George was mentioned, all they could think about was the food he made. But her friend immediately protested in grievance. And you're talking about me. You're the one who's been eating happily every day. You gained 20 pounds in just 6 months and you still have the nerve to say that. That was true. The moment Willow thought about my unbelievably amazing cooking skills, she hesitated again. That night, she sat alone in the private room, spacing out for hours. By the time she came back to her senses, the entire trash bin was overflowing with used tissues. I called her, wanting to pick her up and bring her home. She rejected the call immediately, but after seeing a newly posted dinner photo on Makoto's social media, the last thread of her rationality completely snapped. In the end, she finally made up her mind. With reddened eyes, she sent me a message. George, let's break up. Chapter 02. The moment I saw the message, I was originally devastated. I was even planning to write a 1,000-word emotional essay to desperately beg her to stay, until she sent another message. As compensation, I'll transfer the house in the Beijing suburbs into your name. Holy shit. I instantly calmed down. Without another word, I packed my things and got the hell out. No joke. Housing prices in the Beijing suburbs were insanely expensive. Based on my monthly salary of 8,000 yuan, I'd probably have to start working from the era of Xiangyang's reforms just to afford that house. And that's assuming the mortgage could be passed down through 18 generations of ancestors. As the saying goes, a wise man adapts to circumstances. Taking the money and leaving honestly wasn't anything embarrassing. Besides, looking at it from another angle, if we already broke up, then technically I wasn't being cheated on anymore. The woman who had been dating me for years was basically somebody else's future wife anyway. So, I calmly replied with a simple, okay. Then I immediately rushed to check the property value. Good Lord. Looking at that absurd string of zeros, I smiled in satisfaction. At that moment, there was only one thought in my mind. 3 years of being a private chef in exchange for a multi-million property. This deal was absolutely worth it. Thank you, young miss, for helping me achieve financial freedom. But right then, my phone suddenly received another message. It was from Willow's friend, Sophia. George, don't overthink things. Makoto grew up with us too. Willow only sees him as an older brother. Come to the gathering tonight. I saved you a seat. Oh right, George. I'm kinda craving sweet and sour ribs. Remember to bring some for me. Okay. I couldn't help frowning. Back then, I spoiled all of them because they were Willow's friends. No matter who casually mentioned wanting to eat something, I would go grocery shopping half a day in advance and prepare an entire luxurious feast all by myself. But now, my fingers flew across the keyboard, replying quickly and decisively. Sorry, Willow and I already broke up. Stop trying to persuade me. After thinking for a moment, I added another sentence. If there's a chance in the future, I can treat you to dinner alone sometime. Silently, I added in my heart, dinner made of air. Anyone can make empty promises. Chapter 03. Willow moved fast. Just a few days later, she sent someone over with the property certificate. The men spoke stiffly and formally. Mr. Wong, our young miss said she wronged you. She's willing to give you another 500,000 yuan as payment for all the years you spent cooking for her. But, his tone suddenly shifted. His sharp, blade-like gaze locked directly onto me. She also hopes you'll know your place and stop pestering her after the breakup. More importantly, don't harbor any inappropriate thoughts toward the people around her. I rolled my eyes. Right in front of him, I immediately deleted both of Willow's friends from my contacts. I unfollowed and blocked them on every platform one by one. I didn't even spare the university online course app. Seeing how straightforward I was being, he nodded in satisfaction and cleanly handed me a check. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. I was practically blinded by the endless string of numbers on the check, so excited that I immediately ordered 2 sodas, a giant fried chicken bucket, and an upgraded deluxe jianbing with extra meat, extra sausage, extra egg, and extra fried chicken cutlet, and I didn't even use discount coupons. Being rich really does make you this reckless. That night, even in my dreams, I was smiling while counting money. For several months afterward, I never saw Willow or her friends at school again. Honestly, it made sense. We were originally people from completely different worlds. Once the romantic relationship disappeared, our lives naturally drifted onto entirely separate paths. Sometimes during class, when I accidentally noticed a girl carrying the same LV bag Willow used to have, I would zone out for a moment and think, maybe she was already together with the love of her life now. Chapter 04. It was not until that weekend. I was lying comfortably in my villa, air conditioner blasting, beer in hand, happily preparing myself a rich lunch while enjoying the pleasure that money could buy, when sudden urgent knocking came from the front door. The moment I opened it, I was stunned to see Willow's 2 friends standing outside. Confused, I asked, "What are you 2 doing here?" The 2 of them exchanged glances as if they had rehearsed this beforehand. Then with a loud thud, both instantly dropped to their knees in front of me. One tightly hugged my left leg while the other wrapped herself around my right leg, crying dramatically with incoherent sobbing noises. Sophia choked out through tears. "George, how could you heartlessly abandon us like this? Do you even know how we've been surviving without you? Breaking up is one thing, but how could you block the 2 of us too?" Maria also started crying. "Ever since you disappeared, the private chefs at my house compared to your cooking are like heaven and earth. Their food makes me want to throw up." The 2 of them shook me so hard I nearly lost my balance. I was completely dumbfounded. Sophia's voice trembled pitifully as she sobbed. "I've already lost 2 pounds from starving. Look." As she spoke, she actually started unbuttoning her collar and exposing most of her shoulder. My scalp instantly went numb. Reacting at lightning speed, I grabbed her hand and stopped her. "Don't." I was speechless. I still wanted to keep my eyesight intact. I had barely calmed this one down when the other started making an even bigger fuss beside me. Maria angrily complained. "That shameless Willow. Breaking up herself wasn't enough. She even forbade us from coming to see you. I had to ask around everywhere just to find out you lived here. I almost got caught by her." As she spoke, Her eyes casually drifted toward the dining table. Then she sighed dramatically. Searching for you made my blood sugar drop. I left home too quickly and forgot to eat. She swallowed hard, her voice growing softer and softer. If only I could eat some delicious hot rice right now. Sophia immediately followed up. And curry shrimp would be even better. Watching the two of them coordinate perfectly like a comedy duo, I finally couldn't hold back my laughter. I waved my hand helplessly. All right, stop standing at the door and come inside to eat. They had even deliberately shown up exactly at mealtime. Did they seriously think I couldn't see through their little scheme? The instant I finished speaking, their eyes lit up. Within 1 second, both rich girls charged straight inside. The two spoiled heiresses grabbed the chopsticks on the table and immediately started stuffing food into their mouths. Cheeks puffed full, too busy eating to even talk. Looking at these two food addicts in front of me, I couldn't help curling my lips into a smile. Honestly, it was pretty amusing. I shook my head and said, "Slow down, nobody's fighting you for it." Chapter 05. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, the two of them finally explained why they had come. Sophia said, "George, this time we came to deliver you a new girlfriend." I almost spit out the mouthful of tea I had just picked up. I froze on the spot, seriously suspecting my hearing had malfunctioned. But the two of them became more and more excited the longer they talked, taking turns speaking over each other. Maria said, "We already sold the old one on the second-hand market. The girl we picked for you this time is absolutely your type. Tiny waist, long legs, perfect curves, and most importantly, big boobs. You'll definitely love her." Stop. I quickly raised my hand to interrupt them. "No, seriously, did you two eat too much and lose your minds? You two are Willow's friends." I pointed at them, then at myself. "And you're bringing me a girlfriend?" Sophia nodded with a completely serious expression. "Of course, a person can live without friends, but they can't live without good food." She looked at me earnestly. "George, don't worry. For the sake of eating you're cooking for the rest of our lives, we're sticking with you no matter what." Maria immediately cut in. "Don't reject us so quickly. Every girl we picked is top-tier beauty material, guaranteed to suit your tastes." She skillfully pulled out her phone and shoved a photo in front of me. "Look, she's even prettier in real life than in photos." I lowered my head to look. The woman in the picture wore a black trailing gown. Her features were exquisite. Her temperament cold and elegant, the perfect untouchable ice queen type. She really was beautiful. Completely my type. My expression wavered a little. Willow had only said I wasn't allowed to make moves on people around her. She never said other people couldn't volunteer themselves. The two girls' eyes instantly lit up, immediately energized. They said, "George, we already arranged everything. Come on, let's go right now." Before I could even react, the two of them dragged me outside by force. I resisted desperately. "Hey, what are you trying to do? Hey, stop it, stop. Sigh, you two are seriously ruining my life here." Half an hour later, the car stopped in front of a manor surrounded by forest. The iron gates slowly opened, revealing a massive villa inside that looked more like a miniature palace. The more I looked, the more familiar it felt. I couldn't help clicking my tongue in disbelief. "Just what kind of person are you introducing me to?" The two of them smiled mysteriously. "You'll know once you go in, brother-in-law." As they spoke, they pushed me toward the main building. The moment the door opened, I crashed directly into a woman who had just walked down the staircase. She wore a thin bathrobe loosely wrapped around her body. The collar hung slightly open, exposing delicate collarbones and a small stretch of pale skin. Her damp hair was casually pinned up, with a few wet strands clinging to the side of her long neck. Her entire body radiated a lazy, effortless sensuality. I stared so hard my eyes nearly went straight. I almost forgot how to breathe. She didn't speak immediately. First, she glanced at the two girls beside me. Then her gaze slowly returned to my face. A faint teasing smile curved at the corner of her lips. Her voice was alluring, carrying a hint of playful amusement as she said, "Seen enough yet? If not, come a little closer, you'll get a better look." Chapter 06. My face instantly burned red. Beside me, Sophia burst out laughing. "Sis, stop teasing him already. He's an honest guy. He can't handle this kind of flirting." "Sis." I froze for a moment. Could she actually be Sophia's cousin, the legendary Su family heiress, the crown princess of high society, Anna Su? The Su family was one of the country's top technology giants, a true elite family standing at the very top of the pyramid. As for Anna herself, she had practically been raised like royalty since childhood. She debuted at 16, held her own solo concert at 18, and made the Forbes celebrity list by the age of 20. Northwest Wonder. The place had looked familiar before I even entered. Wasn't this the sky-high luxury villa that had once been auctioned off publicly? Before I could recover from the shock, I heard Anna let out a low chuckle. Calling him brother-in-law already, isn't that a little too early? Sophia rolled her eyes dramatically at her cousin and replied with complete disdain. Oh please, sis, stop pretending. The moment you heard he broke up, you immediately rushed me to set you two up together, and now you're acting like some innocent pure-hearted maiden, MMPH. Before she could finish speaking, an apple flew through the air with terrifying accuracy and lodged directly into her mouth, cutting off the rest of her words. Sophia's cheeks puffed red as she held the apple in her mouth, only able to make muffled protesting noises. The amount of information packed into those few sentences made my brain buzz violently. Then I accidentally met Anna's eyes again. Her gaze was deep, like a bottomless lake, yet hidden inside was a trace of playful amusement that made my heartbeat skip uncontrollably. She gave a light snort. Sophia loves joking around, casually brushing loose strands of hair behind her ear. She added, "Don't take it seriously." Oh. I nodded blankly, while internally cursing myself like crazy. What are you even thinking, George? A woman with her status could never possibly like you. Look at yourself first. Do you really think someone like her would actually let them introduce her as your girlfriend? Just as I lowered my head, wishing I could dig 2 holes straight through the floor and disappear, Anna's alluring, husky voice sounded again. Every word was crystal clear. Let me introduce myself. I'm Anna. I used to be a singer. I subconsciously nodded. Yeah, I know. A regular on fashion magazine covers. Who wouldn't recognize her? She continued. 23 years old, 170 centimeters tall, 60 kilograms, and also, she paused slightly. Her gaze never left my face, as if checking whether I was actually listening. Then she calmly added, 36D. 3 question marks popped up above my head. What did that even mean? My entire brain short-circuited. Was this some kind of new self-introduction format? Before I could react, Anna continued speaking. No nightclubs, no partying, no drinking, no tattoos, gentle personality, good temper. She listed off a ridiculously long string of traits, leaving my head spinning, until finally, she added one last sentence. No fiancé, no partner, and definitely no crush. I completely froze. I looked at her. Her expression remained calm the entire time, but there was something slightly unnatural in her eyes. Her fingers were tightly clenched together, as if trying to hide something. The room fell silent. The only sound was Anna quietly taking a deep breath. She said, I've already listed all my qualifications for you. Pressing her lips together slightly, she tilted her head toward me. How about considering it? The moment those words came out, the CPU in my brain instantly burned out. I stood there frozen, while the imaginary bullet comments in my head exploded wildly across the screen. Considering what? There's no way she means what I think she means. I was still standing there in shock. Meanwhile, Sophia beside me was so anxious she practically wanted to nod on my behalf. Looking utterly disappointed in me, she said, brother-in-law, say something already. Don't tell me you're not even a little tempted. She leaned closer, standing on tiptoe as she lowered her voice. You know, right, my sister has really severe anorexia. We hired so many chefs before, but none of them worked. The last time I brought back the dry pot ribs you made for her, not only did she not feel nauseous, she even ate 2 whole bowls of rice. I've never seen her this satisfied before. She grabbed my sleeve and pleaded sweetly, brother-in-law, I'm begging you, just agree already. Only then did I finally understand everything. I knew it. There was no way someone would fall for me out of nowhere. I thought she wanted to date me. Turns out, she just wanted to hire me as a chef. They really should have said so earlier. Chapter 07. I cleared my throat, trying my best to make myself sound professional as I asked. So, how does the salary work? Anna froze for a second, her brows subtly furrowed, a trace of confusion appearing in her eyes. She clearly hadn't expected me to ask that. One fingertip rested lightly against her cheek as if she were seriously considering something. Then her red lips parted slightly. Her voice was low. calm, and unexpectedly sincere. So this is what you wanted. Would 500,000 a month be enough? My eyes instantly lit up. Without even thinking, I swung my hand down onto her shoulder excitedly. Straightforward. I like your style. Deal. Beside us, Sophia started feeling that something sounded very, very wrong. Why did it feel like these two were having completely different conversations? She was just about to speak. Brother-in-law, I think you misunderstood. Before she could finish, the other friend suddenly grabbed her wrist. The girl frantically shook her head at Sophia and whispered urgently into her ear. Sophia, do you still want to eat his braised pork, sweet and sour ribs, and garlic crayfish or not? Sophia's words immediately got stuck in her throat. She looked at my sycophantic smile, the kind people put on in front of their boss, then looked at her cousin's love-struck expression that practically screamed, "Guys, who gets this? I finally have a husband." Sophia silently swallowed the rest of her words. Forget it. Protecting the meal ticket came first. Immediately afterward, she looked at me expectantly. So George, for lunch today? I answered without hesitation. I'll cook. With a monthly salary of 500,000, I obviously had to serve these rich young ladies properly. I turned toward Anna respectfully. Young me. Anna slightly frowned and corrected me immediately. Don't call me young miss. Call me Anna. I smoothly corrected myself. Okay, Anna. Do you have any food restrictions? Only then did she finally smile in satisfaction. Tilting her head slightly, Anna spoke in a tone carrying an almost imperceptible softness. Nope. As long as you're the one making it, I'll eat anything. Something lightly slammed against my heart. Holy crap. Why was she saying things that sounded so ridiculously seductive? I stammered awkwardly. I'll go prepare everything first. After saying that, I hurriedly escaped toward the kitchen. Anna watched my hurried figure disappear into the distance. Happiness practically overflowed from her eyes. In a small voice, she asked her cousin Sophia. He seems pretty excited too, doesn't he? Looking at her cousin acting like someone completely consumed by romance, Sophia shamelessly lied through her teeth with a perfectly straight face. Obviously, he's definitely super happy. Anna nodded thoughtfully. The corners of her beautiful eyes curved gently upward. He really is an interesting person. Chapter 08. That very night after returning home, I received my first month's salary. 500,000 has been transferred into your account. The hand holding my phone trembled slightly. I nearly wanted to run downstairs immediately and howl triumphantly at the sky, but I couldn't. This was a luxury villa district. Every neighbor around me was an elegant rich person with dignity and class. So instead, I could only let out a series of refined wealthy person laughter noises. Ha 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 ha. Over the next month, as long as I didn't have classes, I would head to the West City Manor on time every single day. Officially, I was there to cook for Anna, but after a while, I started feeling like something was off. Sophia had said her cousin suffered from severe anorexia. Yet from what I observed, aside from refusing to eat organ meat and shiitake mushrooms, this so-called anorexia patient would clean every single dish I made. She would even mix the leftover sauce with rice and finish every last bite. Besides that, she was unbelievably generous with money. A few days ago, I had casually mentioned that a certain brand of wok felt poorly balanced and too light when flipping food. The very next day, the entire kitchen had been replaced with top-tier custom cookware worth hundreds of thousands. One time, Sophia burst through the door recklessly. The moment she saw me, she immediately waved excitedly. George, I want your spicy boiled beef, extra spicy. I had just opened my mouth to respond when Anna's gaze swept over. Her eyes instantly turned ice cold, scaring Sophia stiff on the spot. Anna said coldly, "You're ordering dishes now? Do you even know basic manners? Acting so spoiled without any respect. If this happens again, forget about getting your allowance." Sophia immediately wilted, pouting awkwardly. She didn't dare say another word. At that exact moment, my heart skipped a beat. I worked here. Wasn't it completely normal for guests to request dishes? She was seriously so gentle. Even toward a chef, she was this polite and respectful. Unlike Willow, who always acted superior and bossed me around like I was beneath her. Anna, she really was different. Chapter 09. That afternoon, I had just finished class when I suddenly received a message. Tonight at 8 p.m. Come to the Sue family banquet at Swan International. By the time I walked outside, the driver was already waiting at the entrance. Under the shocked gazes of my classmates, I stiffly climbed into the Maybach, completely confused. Why would a Sioux family banquet need a chef like me there? Oh, maybe they wanted me to stir-fry a few dishes or something. When I arrived at the venue, I originally planned to go find Sophia first, but suddenly, my footsteps stopped. Not far away, Willow was leaning against the men beside her. The expression on her face was something I had never seen before, shy, clingy, and completely love-struck. That man was her male god, Makoto. At that moment, the two of them were surrounded by people like stars being worshipped by the moon. The instant Willow saw me, she froze. Then she frowned and walked toward me almost instinctively. George, why are you here? Did you come to see me? Willow wore a pink mermaid gown. Her pale skin practically glowed. Her hair was meticulously pinned into an elegant bun, exposing her slender swan-like neck. She looked beautiful, like a princess. Standing beside her, I looked like we didn't even exist in the same layer of reality. Looking at her now, I suddenly found it a little funny. She probably thought I showed up here to beg for reconciliation. I shook my head and calmly asked instead, Miss Liu, why do you think I'm here? She rolled her eyes, looking too lazy to bother with me. Willow sneered lightly. How would I know? Oh, what? Did you come here to work part-time as a chef? I choked for a second. Well, you know what? As annoying as she was, sometimes her instincts were terrifyingly accurate. While frowning at me, Willow suddenly noticed the luxury watch on my wrist. Based on what she knew about me, there was no way this was within my spending level. Instantly, her expression changed. Looking at me with disgust, she said, George, why did I never realize you were this fake before? Buying counterfeit watches and pretending to be some rich second-generation heir to pick up girls. It's obviously fake at first glance. Who are you even trying to fool? I let out a cold laugh. Oh, shut up already. If your eyesight's failing, hurry up and get treatment. With an IQ lower than an adult border collie and the perfect target demographic for skim health supplements, you're seriously worried about other people getting fooled. If I told you I arrived here in a Maybach, would your brain explode on the spot? This watch had been sponsored by the most noble and glorious young Miss Sue herself. The price was so absurd it could make people faint, probably because this was the first time I had ever spoken to her with such dismissive contempt. Willow actually froze for a moment, biting her lip. She stammered, Why you? Our argument quickly attracted the attention of nearby guests. At that moment, Makoto walked over gracefully with a wine glass in hand. His gaze landed on me, carrying the perfect amount of confusion, like he was observing some out-of-place intruder. As if suddenly remembering something, he nodded politely and said, Mr. Wong, right, I've heard quite a lot about you. You're the chef Willow mentioned, the one who's very skilled at cooking. Truly impressive for someone so young. He smiled elegantly. By the way, I just returned to the country recently and still haven't adjusted to local cuisine. How about this? Why don't I hire you as our family chef? Chapter 10. Facing his unexplained hostility. I simply smiled and ignored the wine he handed me. Instead, I raised a finger and pointed at the watch on his wrist. My voice wasn't loud, yet every single person nearby heard it clearly. Mr. Ito sure is generous. Unfortunately, my current employer happens to be the Sioux family. Just my monthly salary alone is enough for me to buy over a dozen watches like yours. I let out a soft laugh. The mockery in my tone was practically overflowing. You want to hire me? Can you even afford me? The smile on Makoto Ito's face instantly froze, as though someone had slapped him viciously across the face. Seeing this, Willow's expression also darkened immediately. She stepped forward and looked up at me impatiently. George, how much did you drink to end up this drunk? Can you stop bragging already? This isn't school anymore. You can't just meet whoever you want. The Sioux family is a giant in the tech industry. How could someone like you possibly have access to people at that level? She pressed her lips together. A trace of emotion I couldn't understand flickered through her eyes. Forget it. I won't hold the past against you anymore. But you have to apologize to Makoto and me. I was honestly so angry I almost laughed. Willow, are you out of your damn mind? From beginning to end, I never even wanted to deal with you. You were the one who came running over here begging to get roasted. Now you're acting wronged after getting insulted. Are you seriously that pathetic? Then again, it makes sense. Someone tossed you aside like trash, but the moment he came back and crooked a finger at you, you immediately stuck yourself back onto him. If that's not pathetic, what is? The very next second, before I could even react, Willow grabbed a glass of red wine from a nearby tray and splashed it directly at me. The red liquid poured down from my hair and covered my face. I slowly raised my hand and calmly wiped the wine off. Lately, Willow had probably been spoiled silly by Makoto, turned into some Barbie doll who thought the whole world was supposed to cater to her. Smack. Without hesitation, I slapped her clean across the face. Ah! Willow screamed and clutched her cheek. Her voice trembled with disbelief. You actually dared to hit me. Makoto froze for a split second before immediately pulling Willow protectively behind him. He clearly never expected anyone to do something this crude at an event like this. Burning with rage, he pointed at me through gritted teeth. Are you insane? You think just because you suddenly have money, you can do whatever you want? Right at that moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded from behind the crowd. That's right. He absolutely can do whatever he wants. Chapter 11. Anna pushed through the crowd and walked straight to my side. She didn't even spare the two of them a glance. After taking the wine-stained suit jacket from my shoulders and confirming that I wasn't hurt, her expression finally softened slightly. Meanwhile, Willow stood frozen in place. Her heart pounded violently, as though something was rapidly slipping out of her control. She simply couldn't believe it. Anna, the woman treated like the absolute pinnacle among wealthy socialites and heiresses, was publicly standing this close to George, the poor guy Willow herself had dumped. Anna. Willow paused. She didn't even care about the swelling on her face anymore. You know this abusive man. Only then did Anna finally raise her eyes and glance at her indifferently. So rude. You should call him brother-in-law. Brother-in-law. Willow's mind exploded with a loud buzz. Her brain instantly went blank. Anna ignored her completely and simply grabbed my hand to leave. Her movements were natural and intimate, paying no attention whatsoever to the uproar spreading through the crowd. In a low voice, she only asked, "Are you all right?" I shook my head blankly. What could possibly happen to me? I wasn't the one who got slapped. Anna. Willow finally snapped back to reality, almost losing control of herself. She stepped forward as if trying to stop her. Her voice trembled. You must have misunderstood something. George is my ex. Anna stopped walking and turned around coldly. The look in her eyes was so icy it instantly froze Willow in place. Show your brother-in-law some respect from now on. I don't want to see something like this happen a second time. Her tone was light, yet those words felt like an invisible blade severing every remaining sentence Willow wanted to say. All color drained from Willow's face, looking at the way George and Anna stood together. An overwhelming wave of jealousy and panic swallowed her whole. How could this happen? Chapter 12. Sadly, in the end, I still didn't get the chance to stir-fry even 2 dishes before returning to the manor. But the moment we stepped through the entrance, Anna suddenly threw herself into my arms. She buried her face against my neck. Her voice sounded soft and aggrieved. Do you know how worried I was when I couldn't find you anywhere? The moment I came downstairs, I heard you got into a fight. Did that Makoto guy lay a hand on you? My heart skipped violently, almost stiffly. I shook my head and looked down at her. No. Avoiding her gaze, I unconsciously tightened my fingers. In a low voice, I said, "Thank you for helping me out today." Anna smiled faintly. Why are you thanking me? That's what I'm supposed to do. The atmosphere gradually became ambiguous. Warmth and playful tenderness shimmered in her eyes. Then Anna asked, "So, when do I officially become your girlfriend?" I froze. My brain completely failed to process what she meant. Officially become what? The smile on her face stiffened for a moment. Then she frowned in disbelief. A while ago, didn't I ask whether you'd consider becoming my boyfriend? And didn't you say you'd think about it? I've been eating every meal you make on time every day. I finish every bite too. I even give you spending money. Now I was even more confused. Consider that. I thought you were asking me to consider becoming your personal chef. The room fell silent for several seconds. Anna stared blankly for a moment, then suddenly burst out laughing. She laughed so hard she nearly bent over, and finally poked my chest helplessly. George, are you actually dumb? Awkwardly scratching my head, I looked at the amusement overflowing in her eyes and said embarrassedly, I cook for you every day, clock in and out on schedule, and you never said anything else. Standing on tiptoe, she wrapped her arms around my neck. Her sweet scent brushed lightly across my nose. Her voice sounded alluring and dangerously charming. Well, now you know. George, I like you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Ever since the first time I saw a photo of you and Willow together online, I was jealous to the point of going crazy. Thankfully, she's an idiot, so the moment you two broke up, I immediately came looking for you. She looked at me softly. So, will you be with me? Holy crap. Why didn't you say so earlier? I quickly covered her mouth, afraid she might say something she'd regret. Mwah, smack. Wet sounds echoed through the room. Between tangled breaths and intertwined lips, Anna was kissed until she could barely breathe. She could only cling tightly to my shoulders, letting me pull her deeper and deeper into the moment. Chapter 13. After we officially got together, Anna became especially clingy, particularly at night. I started getting sleepy constantly during class, to the point that even my professors gave me several strange looks. In the end, I could only use my graduation thesis as an excuse to hide from her for over half a month. But some things were impossible to avoid forever. That day, I was just about to head home, when Willow suddenly rushed out and blocked my path halfway there. After only 1 month apart, she looked like an entirely different person. She had lost a shocking amount of weight. Dark circles stained the area beneath her eyes, and the glamorous confidence she once carried was completely gone. Before I could react, she grabbed tightly onto my sleeve. Her voice sounded sharp and hoarse as she cried out, "George, are you really together with Anna now? You're lying to me, right? I know I was wrong. I was too immature before. Can you give me one more chance?" I couldn't be bothered listening to her nonsense. I raised my hand, preparing to shake her off, but she refused to let go. The moment I struggled, my sleeve ripped open with a tearing sound. I frowned and said coldly, "Willow, let go. Don't force me to get physical. I won't let go." Her eyes were red. The entire woman radiated the unstable energy of someone on the verge of breaking down. She shouted, "Anna is just lying to you. She only seduced you because she hates me. She doesn't truly love you at all. Please, just give me one more chance. Okay, I'll never contact Makoto again. From now on, I'll listen to everything you say. Okay." Recently, her life had been an absolute disaster. After offending Anna, the Liu family company suddenly had a huge number of business partners terminate their contracts overnight, suffering devastating losses. And after hearing the news about the Liu family's crisis, Makoto simply disappeared. Only then did Willow Liu finally discover the truth. The Ito family had already gone bankrupt long ago. His return to the country was merely to find a wealthy woman suitable for marriage who could help him rebuild his status. And Willow was no longer within his range of consideration. After being tormented non-stop for an entire month, Willow's stomach illness had also fully relapsed. Looking at her miserable state now, I only found it laughable and pathetic. I couldn't feel even the slightest trace of sympathy. "You should understand something clearly." I looked at her coldly and spoke word by word. "You were the one who suggested breaking up. You were also the one who treated me like a substitute. Willow, everything you've ever had, you never knew how to cherish, and now you regret it. What exactly are you pretending for?" I had zero interest in wasting more words on her. I forcefully pulled my hand free and turned around to leave, but she stubbornly shouted behind me, "You're not allowed to go." Chapter 14. Sophia suddenly popped out from who knows where and smacked Willow's hand away irritably. "Willow, aren't you going a little too far?" The moment Willow saw her, her eyes instantly filled with resentment. Biting her lip, she said, "You were the one who introduced him to Anna. You stabbed me in the back." Sophia immediately hid behind me, as if fully confident I would back her up. She shot back righteously, "Willow, that's just wrong. You were the one who didn't treasure him, and now you don't even allow him to move on. What? After breaking up with you, he's supposed to stay single forever and keep acting like your simp backup option? You seriously think you're some princess that the entire world has to revolve around? Are you really that desperate for simps? How about getting a husky instead? It can wag its tail at you all day and obey every command you give." She rolled her eyes dramatically before continuing, "At worst I'll apologize to you. I'm not wrong. You're not right. It's all my fault. Okay." 3 question marks popped up above my head. Willow trembled with anger, pointing at Sophia for half a day without managing to say a single word. Suddenly, the sound of high heels echoed from the end of the hallway. Anna slowly walked toward us. Her gaze first landed on the ripped sleeve of my shirt, then she looked up at Willow. The temperature in her eyes instantly dropped below freezing. "Willow," her voice was cold enough to make people shiver, "looks like you still haven't learned your lesson from last time. Willow's face visibly turned pale. She remembered the Liu family company that was already on the verge of collapse. She remembered the chaos from a few days ago when her father suffered a stroke from anger and was rushed into the hospital. She remembered how people around her had started deliberately distancing themselves one after another. At that moment, every ounce of pain surged back violently, crushing down on her until she could barely breathe. Her voice choked with emotion. The way she looked at me was filled with unwillingness, regret, and obsession. Trembling, she asked, "George, if I hadn't suggested breaking up back then, would you still have continued loving me?" My voice remained perfectly calm without the slightest ripple. No, our relationship had started with deception from the very beginning. From the moment she treated me as Makoto's substitute, there was never any future left for us to speak of. Real love was never about pathetic people-pleasing or endless one-sided sacrifice. And by now, I was no longer the man who would wait for her to turn back. Chapter 15. Half a year later, we rented out an entire private island to hold our wedding. On the wedding day, the sea breeze carried rose petals across the red carpet. Anna wore a custom-made wedding gown, smiling brightly as she held onto my arm and walked forward with me. Below the stage, Sophia gnawed on a lobster leg while tearfully wiping her eyes in emotion. Choking back sobs, she cried, "Thank you to my dear sis for delivering such an amazing brother-in-law. Sis, you're truly generous." Meanwhile, from a distant high-rise building, Willow stood hidden in the shadows, silently watching everything unfold with unbearable pain twisting through her heart. She watched as George held Anna tightly in his arms. The smile in his eyes was something she had never once seen before. Relaxed, bright, truly happy. Only then did she finally understand. The sincere love she once discarded so carelessly had now become a light so distant that she could no longer even reach it. Chapter Extra, Sophia. Sophia had a friend named Willow. Willow was proud, flamboyant, and arrogant. In front of outsiders, she always carried herself like a spoiled princess surrounded by admirers. Since Sophia grew up with her, she had long known how cold-hearted Willow truly was beneath the surface. But because of their many years of friendship, she never said much, until she met George. That day, Willow brought him to a gathering for the first time. It was Sophia's first time seeing him. He dressed simply and neatly. His manners were gentle and polite. Whenever he spoke, he would look at the other person sincerely, making people feel naturally comfortable around him. At later gatherings, he was always the one driving Willow back and forth, but the dishes he carefully cooked for her, the soups he slowly prepared for hours, were casually tossed aside by Willow while she excitedly chatted with Makoto instead. Sophia witnessed situations like that many times. In front of friends, Willow constantly belittled George, saying he was just a poor loser who could never compare to her ex-boyfriend Makoto. But Sophia thought George was genuinely a good person. At one drinking party, a rich second-generation heir kept forcing drinks on her under the excuse of joking around. The entire table laughed and cheered along. No one noticed how uncomfortable she was becoming, except George. Without saying a word, he quietly switched her alcohol with water. There were countless little moments like that. Maybe George himself didn't even remember helping someone. Later on, Sophia truly couldn't stand it anymore, so she told her cousin Anna everything Willow had done. At the time, Anna didn't say a single word. She only asked for George's social media account and quietly followed him. Then later, Sophia heard that Willow and George had broken up. Her cousin, who was normally calm and composed no matter what happened, actually jumped up from the sofa immediately after hearing the news. She looked at Sophia without saying anything, but sometimes silence spoke louder than words. Sophia froze briefly before instantly understanding. Without another word, she immediately started asking around for George's whereabouts. Honestly, she should have realized it earlier. Someone like her cousin would never casually pay attention